Oh, welcome back to the To Be Fair Show. I am your host, Johnny P.
Oh, yeah, real?
It's Q.
And we back. Want to tell everybody to follow the To Be Fair Show. We on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads.
Mhm.
Hit the notification button, subscribe, like, and comment. This the Mother's Day edition. We want to give a special shout out to all the moms.
Oh, yeah.
Mama Ties. We want to give a shout out to Susie, my mom out there.
Mama Sharon.
Mama Sharon.
Both Mama
both Mama Sharons.
Mama Ross.
Mama
Ross.
Ross.
I love
keep
Mama
them,
Ross.
yeah, keep them coming. But we appreciate everything. Y'all done for us. Y'all continue to do for us.
Who you be calling Big Mama?
I ain't got no big mama. I might got little mama.
Oh, you got little mama. Who you be calling little mama?
I ain't got no. we do that one off camera. But
Hey, that nigga just real quick.
But for real, we want to give a shout out to all the moms.
Sure.
We better, get it popping, get some flowers, get the cars, get the dinner ready.
Yeah.
It's about that time.
Fellas, I like to ask this in lieu of it being Mother's Day. What is an impactful thing about yourself that your mother has directly impacted or like influenced?
Oh, y'all looking at me?
Anybody? Johnny can go first.
Johnny looking at me too, so I go first.
Okay.
One thing that I know for sure, my mom's a trooper. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
She ain't finna lay down. Like, you know what I mean? She gonna push through, and like right now, she's in a situation where we seeing her push through again, and definitely instilling that don't give up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessarily something that was like verbalized so much, but it was more we were able to see that.
Mm-hmm.
She's always been that way. You know what I mean? Whether there's help or no help, like you don't have an excuse to lay down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Responsibilities have to be those boxes have to be checked, and she has done that my entire life, and has continued to do it, and I learned a lot from that.
Johnny?
Yeah, I'll say I guess like that's something we always lean back on. My social battery and social skills. She's a social butterfly, and my kind of argumentative sense for sure. Me and her love to debate. That's kind of like our love language. We always go back and forth. So I definitely have taken those three from Mom Dukes for sure.
For sure. And my mother, I'd probably say one would be community. Like she's always kind of been like a person that has had an imprint on the community. In which that's something that I've attempted to try to do inside a bunch of different facets. It's kind of crazy. It was a dude, he just messaged me on Facebook this week, and he was talking about, I remember your mama used to pull up with the blue Suburban, and everybody be like, they go Miss Sharon, and them kids about to play drums. He used to be on a different drum line or whatever, and I just thought that was really cool. Opinions, obviously. My mama got opinions, and I be having opinions and shit. I think that's a big thing, and I'd say support as well, where like if it's one thing like she gonna go to and be a part of everything my son do. She about to fly out to LA this week with us. Like she going.
Oh,
that
yeah,
just,
true.
That just is what it is, and it's to the point like QJ. He looks forward to her coming to every single thing. Like he asked her like, "Hey, is grandma coming with us this time?" Like, but it's like that with every single trip, every single thing that happens. He always acts, and because since he was like second grade, third grade, she's been at. It's rare that she misses anything that he's doing.
Yes,
and that's something. Well, I mean, obviously, how much I try to pour into him, and it's something that I just want to make sure that I reciprocate or I do as I get older and the next generation comes. It's like that support. It means a lot. Yep.
I would say definitely sense of humor. Y'all know my mom.
Oh, yeah.
Sense of humor. That go across me, my brother, and my sister. It's just a universal thing with us. Investigative discovery.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom is. Yeah, y'all know my mom. It ain't too much you get.
I really
past
know
her.
your mom.
Okay. It ain't too much you can get past her.
You gotta get one on. Gotta get one.
Gotta get one off on Mother's Day.
Gotta get one off.
It ain't too much you can get past her, and that's kind of one of the things I've inherited. And then the stuff that I do for work was definitely highly influenced by my mom. Like helping her, like even when we actually are on the phone by ourselves, because we had like family conversations, but when we actually on the phone by ourselves, me and her are talking about like graphic design stuff.
Question. So you said y'all have like a like group conversations on the phone as a family?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's actually interesting.
Bro, that's something that I've noticed that a good bit of people do. Like Dave and his family does that too. We don't do it. You know what I mean? But I think that's something it's actually a dope thing when I hear there's something that I hear their conversations amongst you know what I mean? Both of him and Dave will talk to me about like the conversations that they have on their family calls.
Yeah, and I think
it's pretty
Keith
dope.
also they do something of that as well.
It's dope.
Yeah, it's actually, we don't do it, but that's something that
of my sister just calling everybody about like she doing whatever. She just decides she gonna call everybody at whatever time. So the group call can be at 8:30 at night, or it can be at 7 in the morning. And then she likes to call over and over again if you don't answer.
But that's fire though, because like
have somebody that
you have to have a connector,
the glue.
like I think that's really really important. Because a lot of us we will do, but we have to have like somebody like incentivizing us to do the thing. That's something with my family. I've almost like I'm going to try and like take a little bit more of like the wheels on, and that's not even like specifically immediate like just like primary family, but like with all the cousins and people like that, where I could like I'm kind of a point man when it comes down to leadership to an extent, and like I feel like it's almost like I'm a person that's out of all the family drama enough to where everybody will kind of listen and come to like the things that I do or say, to where I can actually organize things and people show up. So yeah, like in lieu of like I said, like of course, unfortunately, death will put things more in your conscience, but in that it's made me be more conscious. Like, all right, so you do have the ability to actually get people together, so let's make sure we get together. So that you got to have those connectors. And sometimes you might have to end up being that connector.
Yeah, in my case, I'm not the connector. My sister's definitely the connector.
But no, that's
because she ain't got no shame, and me and her can fight, and I don't want to talk to her at all, and she'll still call me. I'm not calling. Like this.
Hey, but that's the thing, Tone, with our generation, as far as like we're of the age to where like you speak,
we supposed to be having the cookouts. Niggas be like, "What a cookout set." Nigga, when you getting on the grill?
Yeah, when you grilling, but like when you speak of death and when you speak of like the older, like our parents' generation getting older, and us stepping into that age and becoming like some of the stuff that they've done, it's on us to be the glue. And sometimes with the internet and cell phones, it's a lot easier to be isolated and not do that thing. But for the sake of our family, that's something we have to probably be more, cognizant of, more intentional about, is stepping up to the plate and, fighting the natural instinct to be isolated and, step up and be that glue for your family. Because if not me, then who?
Facts.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good transition period. Shout out to all the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day.
Love y'all.
Everything. A little alley-oop for Tone there. But I guess we got some memes queued up. I gotta get another dub real quick.
Yeah, what? Come on,
see that? Yeah. Paper, scissors, shoot. Get him out of there.
Oh,
bro, how you keep beating y'all?
But he don't keep beating us, bro. He just won 2 times, bro.
I was just saying,
yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Rail first.
Don't go me first.
Nah, yeah, you lost.
And nigga, I say that every week, and y'all be like, "Nah, you got to go first. Nah, you got to hold that."
You would just complain about it. So
you
I'll go second, and we'll let Q
wrap
close it out.
All right. So, John, let me see. Throw that. I got a Drake John on here. Let me see.
They not like us. Hey, they not like us.
Let me how I'm gonna do this. Okay, go to old girl.
Right here.
Yeah, second. No, the one above that one. Let's get that one first.
Y aquí sí saben el bochinche.
El Drake.
Hey.
El Drake.
El
Drake.
Hey.
Arriba.
That was sad. I saw that, bro. I was like, bro, they just murdering this man.
Imagine
bro.
that boy Drake. Imagine that boy Drake pulling up to Puerto Rico. He think he free and clear,
Right.
and then they BBL Draking out there.
That's crazy.
He can't go nowhere.
Bro,
Yeah.
he
He
toast
toast.
in every language though.
He toast.
He
Yeah.
toast. Talking about you done overcooked it in them toaster type joint that you gotta throw away.
Well,
You know, you gotta hit
scrape-
that
you
sugar
scrape-
with
that-
the
that
butter
motherfucker-
knife.
Yeah, we don't be throwing
Yeah,
that
you
way.
can't
You
throw
that's
it.
why.
It's some good bread under there.
Yeah.
It's some good. It's some good
That's a
bread.
fact.
It's some good.
I done
bread.
scraped off
Yeah,
some black bread.
Nah,
for sure.
fact.
There's some good bread left.
No facts. Let me see. Scroll up real quick. We're gonna move on to the next joint. Give me my
Vince.
boy, Vince.
Great show.
Are you the cool
I
uncle?
got nah, not at all. I
Why?
be tripping. I keep them square, bro. You got to keep them square. All that cool shit out. Yeah, I want to be your friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? You a child.
Right.
You know what I mean? We not kicking it.
Right.
But,
I'm your
I
uncle.
mean, I go to a game or something. Like if you good.
Right. Are you the cool
I
uncle?
got,
Good.
nah.
Them grades, like, look.
Yeah, no, what
That's funny.
I was thinking about, like, you know what I mean? I think we're at a point where I don't know if it's the idea that everybody wants to stay young.
Mhm.
That we're like ODing like the friendship with kids.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like me, for me, y'all know I'm more the old school traditional John. Like me and my kids, they know I love them and everything. But at the end of the day, or like anybody else's kids, like I'm generally not the super playful trying to be your friend uncle. Like, nah,
Mhm.
you ain't finna smoke no ale with me. I'm not
Okay.
giving you no sip out the little hit of the little liquor. Like, no, we ain't cool like that. And I'm not finna
Mhm.
sit here. You not shaking ass around me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Bro,
I'm
niggas
not.
be letting all that shit fly.
Hey, it's a lot of shit we be letting fly, bro. You know
Okay.
where I live, and I just be seeing these dudes like passing kids blunts and stuff. I be like, bro,
This
Oh,
shit,
that-
are we
that's wild.
that's
serious,
predator
bro?
behavior, honestly. Like drug, like smoking.
That's that
and
shit Johnny was talking about on Unpack.
Yeah, we don't do that. we don't do that at all. Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we
that's
be-
predator. That's like smoking and
Yeah.
giving kids alcohol. Like
But, like, I think it's like it's
that's
a
crazy.
we must, because there was a differentiation between us and our aunts and uncles and our moms and fathers. There was a differentiation between us as kids and the grown-ups.
Yeah.
You
And
wasn't
can,
just-
can we I want to drive into this conversation a little bit.
Okay.
So I think that like
Corvette.
it's an interesting little balance, right?
Mhm.
Because I
You had
think
the
that
cool parents.
well, my parents
No,
weren't
not
cool
yours,
parents.
but I'm saying you had the cool parents.
Oh no, that even what I'm speaking more in like modern time. And even if I look at like my son, like I think that his relationship with like even with y'all, like I look at y'all as uncles in essence too. In comparison to me and my uncles, it is different. And one might say like it's a little more like playful XYZ. Like y'all was having fun in a
Yeah.
whatchamacallit earlier. But
Tell
it
them
is
how it cost
but it is still like there's still
Yeah,
a
he called me
line.
up.
Tell them how it caught you.
And so
Well, hold,
Go ahead,
I want
go
to
ahead.
keep going into it. But like but it still is a line, and I think that where that line is, to me, I think it's a little better than like where the line is with like the adults when I was older, I mean younger,
Mhm.
where I did have I didn't understand how to talk to adults for a while because it was like such a stringent like be seen not heard, you don't say shit, and then it was almost like it was just like a interesting little barrier where like Unc, for example, we're just now getting to the space where we're at right now. But for me there was like a long time before we can get there because of like my I don't know if like you would say like fear of authority of like older people, but it was definitely like this big little thing. But with QJ, I think like it's a good balance. Like he knows like there's a line not to cross at all.
for sure.
But then I do think that there's a space where whether it's me or y'all, I think that he'll be comfortable coming to get advice and like you know what I mean, some of like the things that whether he doesn't feel comfortable with me, he can feel comfortable with y'all, or you know what I mean, like XYZ. It does exist.
I think the lines of communication with our generation are probably open a little better with us unpacking a lot of the things from our childhood and trauma. I think we are a
Mhm.
little more not being friends, but that open communication
Yeah.
lies there. But I don't think we're all friends
Oh
with.
yeah.
But I think
And to
they
be
are.
clear, like he knows it's a time to play, and it's a time that
Mhm.
I am I'm just on his ass. And truthfully, it's like it's probably 75-25. Y'all get to see the 25 because y'all over here.
Yeah.
But most of it's usually 75. But yeah.
Yeah, no,
I think Tone.
that-
Well,
oh,
either one, yeah.
yeah, I'm just go real quick. I ain't gonna take long. I think that it's a with QJ, and it's good that you bring that up because he is the first like younger person
Mhm.
that I've actually had any type of like, and you see, I'm still getting used to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not something that I'm used to, but it's I can allow that I allow that leniency and allow that friendship thing to kind of not necessarily friendship, but the relationship. I feel comfortable building it because I can see that he respects me.
Mhm.
It's not like a thing where he even would like he knows if I catch him seeing the blunt,
Mhm.
hitting the blunt,
Yeah.
he knows that that's gonna be a thing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's not like he doesn't I know his expectation of me is not to be cool with him.
Right.
You know what I mean? He doesn't sit and like just walk up and just try to have a conversation. You know what I mean? He didn't just start conversation. He understands when he kind of
Mhm.
casually inserts himself, and he understands when it's not the time for him to be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He's very mature, and he
Oh,
pays
yeah.
attention and understands what's going on. And I mean, but most kids don't necessarily have that, and I think it's because they don't necessarily have not only the intentionality and upbringing that he has, but they also don't necessarily have a respectable friend group that holds themselves and individuals around them accountable for their actions to that standard. Like you just ain't gonna see us just doing no crazy stuff. We don't do things around. It ain't like we just sitting around smoking ales and stuff.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
well, I
You know what I
think-
mean? So it's like, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I think the way like you say, the friend group. I think probably a lot of the things you say come around us, and we probably validate because we all come from like the same similar thinking, and it's
Mhm.
like it's not like I'm gonna say anything that you probably wouldn't, but like the respectability is there where we know right or wrong. We got the same principles. We kind of come from the same thing, so seeing us hold each other accountable lets him know that okay, Johnny P, he holds my dad accountable. My dad holds him accountable. That's the relationship I'm gonna have to have with him, also, and that's a a beautiful thing as far as community.
I was about to ask a question real quick because this is something I think about all the time. But how much did the males in your life when you was growing up stifle you because you was actually ready for certain conversations that they wouldn't have?
Well, I think stifle would be a good word. And I would say I think that not even necessarily as much as like ready for, but the gap of mystery for me was like the bigger thing.
Yeah.
Like, so
That-
what
that's-
do
that's
adults
okay.
be talking about? Like,
That's
is it
what
like
you're
this
saying.
grand thing that's over here that I'm just missing out on?
Right.
That and when you actually end up finding it really ain't that crazy.
Yeah, nah.
And the
Like,
reason I was asking is because, like, even as a grown person, I be thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think that differently than I did when I was younger. Like,
mhm.
like some of the same questions I had when I was younger is questions I'm finding out answers to now. But it'd be like if somebody would have talked to me about this when I was younger, it would have really helped me a lot.
Yeah,
I
and
think it's a big thing that we should. I don't know how this looks and like how to. My son's only 2, but we should definitely make them comfortable asking good questions.
Yeah.
Like whatever. No, not even just good question. Any question's
question.
good when you're. You know what I mean? When you're really looking for an answer.
Right.
I think that because like one thing I noticed like with my pops, until I got like I had to buy a house and all kind of stuff before he looked at me like a man. So I never really even felt that he would, you know what I mean? That it was even possible to ask these any questions for
Right.
real, for real. So I never asked anything. So like people talk about the birds and the bees, and when we talk about, when you get into those conversations, when we talking about sex and you know what I mean? There's no conversation. There has been no conversation. We only find we find out about sex through porn. And it's like
Mhm.
if we have the men around us, there's questions. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't have if you know that you were thinking of the thing, just provide answers to questions that they don't even ask.
Right.
You know?
And
I think some of that's sensitive though. Like when you come about like sex and stuff, like I'd probably,
well, I think that like it's its own different delicate balance. in which like I've like been sitting thinking about like because QJ is in a space where now he's getting in relation like he's ninth grade going into 10th grade.
Mhm.
Like he's getting in and out of relationships and different things like that. One of the things that I did tell him about the whole thing is like you want to be a good person regardless. Like honestly, like me telling him like you should be one girl or you should be like, and this is obviously dating, not sex wise, like,
Right.
you know, like that. But or you should do X, Y, Z. My biggest thing is that you want to make sure that your character as a person is seen regardless, whatever that thing is. But going to what you was just saying, that ends up being, and this is why I thought that this was a good conversation. That I was like, because it does end up being. It's weird little like intersection where you have to find. And like I'd be lying to just be pretending like I always find it because like I said, 75% of the time I am really on top of them. But making sure that you make space for them to feel comfortable asking you the questions because of what I regurgitate naturally would be what my father did. And it was really like cut and dry. And like, after I say what I say, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? But I also understand that there is a space where that's not necessarily always the best thing. And so it's like unlearning certain things and trying to make space for certain things.
Yeah, I think I honestly, and it's crazy because with man kids, there's a level of and I only say with man kids because I'm not a woman. I don't understand the woman experience or how it's the women communicating themselves to women, to little girls. But I know that like we naturally, with like most of us don't have a father present to where, you know, we just don't get the conversations because it's just not the case. You know what I mean? And then, you know, we don't have someone stepping up to be that. So you kind of figure it out. But we definitely have to find a way. And I think that that's the one good thing that's coming out of these conversations that we're having now in current time. The conversations about male vulnerability and all of these different things. I think that there's a positive that will be a net positive to our kids if we make sure that we do it in an effective way, because we can easily make it a crippling thing.
No, that's a fact.
So we don't want to do that because we need men. We need these young boys to grow up to be strong men for the women that we will hope for, the families that they will have later on. But there's also, so there's a balance, and we're going to be the first generation to actually figure that thing out, because that was a complete absence before. The conversations that were needed were not conversations that were being had that would actually help us to understand what manhood looks like, instead of just, you know, because most things we heard about manhood was from women. At least for me, I heard more about manhood from women because they were vocalizing it. I didn't hear men telling me what it was like to be a man and what men should, you know what I mean? I heard more women saying it and doubling down on what a man's supposed to be and and all these different character traits of a man. I never heard a man say it. So I think that we're at a place now where we're going to have a definitely the intentional bunch of us in our generation will have the opportunity to make a new man,
a new normal,
create a new norm and create a new man.
Okay.
You know what I mean? This new version of a man in society. And I think it'll be beautiful. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Nah. You want to get one more? Or?
Oh damn! We just milked that one. Really? Well, that's not even a quick one though. I got 7 minutes. Okay. Go to the last one on there.
You ain't really got 7.
Men are critical. That's how men are. The reason why children do better with both parents, intact families, is because they receive unconditional love and support from mum, but very conditional high standards from father, who's there to remind you that this is not good enough, telling him he needs to work harder, telling him he's going to be a loser if he doesn't work hard. So if you have a man who resents that aspect of a father, chances are he's going to be disconnected from his masculinity. He doesn't understand the masculine version of love. He has an idea that love should just be constantly being nice, constantly being polite, constantly believing in you. So then what happens when you get into a relationship with a man like this? They cannot take criticism. Ever. They act almost childlike and they get sensitive and they almost act very feminine. They act girly when you give them feedback. Men are critical. That's how men are.
So with this one, the thing that stood out to me is like the parenting part, where she was talking about the difference between the way that mom shows love versus the way that dad shows love. And I find this even with my daughter. Like I still, like with my wife, she shows love in the more nurturing, and it's purely nurturing. It's not, you know what I mean? It doesn't call out any character traits that are negative. You know what I mean? It's more of like just a love. You know what I mean? I love you, and everything that you're kind of doing it's nothing's really bad. You know what I mean? It's not to the point to where I guess what it is like my wife is not necessarily trying to make a good person, so to say, or a good woman. And in my mind, that's to the forefront for me.
So I guess the question I would say, and this has been my general typical observation. Mm-hmm. Fathers are harder on their sons and women are harder on their daughters. And like they both typically try to teach like the hardest version of those lessons of manhood or womanhood to those opposite sexes. I don't know if like your wife might be different where like she generally parents like that. But what I've seen mm-hmm. is typically like women parenting their daughters be crazy, but then they'll be soft on their sons. Mm-hmm. Right. And then it'd be like the opposite with guys and whatchamacallit.
So what I'm saying is that even I agree with what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So that women are typically harder on daughters and softer on men, and then men are harder on sons, softer mm-hmm. on women. But the point, the actual point that I was talking about was like the explanation part. So like mom is hard on daughter, but without actually being conversational, and actually the explanation and the you know what I mean, the layout of this is the reason is because of this, and this goes into like the life lesson behind the thing. And I'm telling you, like, okay, if you keep doing that, then you're gonna be behind. You're gonna be the kid in class that doesn't. Okay, you don't want to do that. Like the explanation for the thing versus the emotion of it. Like I'm not gonna be yelling. It's not, my point is not you just doing what I said. But it's more of the like the lesson of the thing is more important than how I feel.
I guess for me, I would say I think it's literally the exact same. From what I've seen with men and their sons inside, I mean, like spaces where they're like what I give it best is like being like a sports dad. You get to see men inside their most emotional state. Like I done seen kids put up 20 and they dad is digging into them afterward, like yelling, red in the face. You know what I mean? Just because he didn't do this one thing that you thought that he should be doing in that moment. But I've seen that not one time, but like over a multitude of times. I've seen kids do bad and they like it, you almost be like, whoa, I might need to call somebody. Yeah. Like it'd be like these moments consistently of like these emotional outbursts of like of dads. Inside like a and a lot of times to be in a physical manner. To where like I wouldn't say like either. I just think that both people like both. And we also like very cognizant men group. I think when you put it back to the norm, I think both of them, when like trying to get those messages across, they usually don't even have like the tools, either one of them, to like say it and articulate it with male or female, to where I think it'd be coming off very similar, I guess.
And I'll say this kind of to wrap it up. I think this is a good point. Like you said, I think like when Ray was saying, he explains the logical thing, you know, to his daughter and the wife. But I think if we're looking at the differences, I think women are going to respond to a certain type of communication one way. And
they mamas be digging in their ass too, bro. But I ain't gonna lie.
But I think, but what Ray was saying,
they go hard on women.
No,
too.
I get it. But what Ray was saying is like he said he'd go hard, but he's logical. But I think for a woman, that emotional dig is what hurts him, and that's why you see the mom the mom daughters fighting. Because the mom's attack it's an emotional attack where like for a guy like that emotional attack's not going to work, but that logical attack.
Oh no, it's not a logical attack.
And see when you're talking about, but when you're talking about basketball,
it's usually like physical.
But when you're talking about basketball,
like physics, you can understand. Like he whooped my ass, I get it. Like
but I don't even think like take it like I'm using that as like an easier example because like I'm able to see it. But like I see it in like all the aspects of it. Typically, men discipline and teach lessons by physicality, whether it's going to be by whooping, whether it's going to be jacking them up, whether it's It's
I
really
agree.
rare that like you get like the full expression of like the talking to and logic.
For sure. And I'm glad you because this a lot of the times like what it is that it is a person that's being intentional versus a person that's just doing things and just reaction. There's a reactionary person and there's a you know what I mean? There's a person that's like thinking about the thing. Okay, so what is the outcome I'm looking for, and how can I best get that outcome? And that's people on both sides. Because I've met some women that do a good job of like, you know, even like asking, like telling people like, okay, this is what happened. Like, what do you think? Like, what I'm trying to do is this, and you know what I mean. So I've seen on both sides that you can see that on both sides. So you're right. I'd agree with that.
Nigga, I done been on both sides of it too. Like I done been emotional and I've been like logical of it. Like if I'm like just being completely real, like it's a part of like the maturation of being a father. Once you, like I said, once you hit like that middle elementary through like middle school, high school, you're gonna hit all of them shits. Johnny, I think it's on to you for the memes, my boy.
Oh yeah. I got a couple, but I want to save one for when we come back to topics. But first one I want to get to, give me the very first one up there. We'll start it off. Politics.
Frankie, yeah, nigga,
it's gonna get you a lot of hits. I am taking a what do they call it? Like a regular dose, you know, whatever. They're trying to build up of ivermectin. Ivermectin was a boogeyman early on in COVID.
You couldn't talk about it.
That was wrong. We were given bad information about ivermectin. The real question is why? Everyone's going to say Joe Rogan was right. No, Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, he was right. But that's not what matters. What matters is the entire clinical community knew that ivermectin couldn't hurt you. They knew it, Patrick. I know they knew it. How do I know? Because now I'm doing nothing but talking to these clinicians who at the time were overwhelmed by COVID and they weren't saying anything. Not that they were hiding anything, but it's cheap. It's not owned by anybody. And it's used as an antimicrobial, antiviral in all of these different ways and has been for a long time.
For malaria for over almost 20 years.
Yeah. So, and my doctor, who is now my doctor, was using it during COVID on her family and on patients, and it was working for them. So they were wrong to play scared on that. Didn't know that at the time, know it now, admit it now, reporting on it now. Because I think that's the job. The idea that, well, you were a vaccine proponent. Why wouldn't I have been a vaccine proponent? Now there are questions. Oh, no, I'll tell you something else that's going to get you.
Is that the wrap up of it? Hey, shout out PPD. I be watching.
And that's two things. Could you, Tone? Could you do me one favor? Could you just read the meme at the top too?
Okay.
I'll tell you something else.
Former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo admits he now takes ivermectin every day to treat his COVID vaccine injury. You can't make this up. For years, he bashed Joe Rogan and others who took ivermectin. He pushed everyone to get the jab. Now he's a cheerleader for ivermectin because it works.
But like, let's not like polarize it inside like the way the caption did it. Like he kind of walks you through like the actual logic of how and why he kind of switched spaces.
Oh no, I'm on his side. I disagree with the caption because the caption is they want people to not have evolution in their stances. Like, oh, buddy, he said something that was wrong. He came out, he admitted it was wrong. He said where he was coming from. He even said, oh, such and such was right.
My sources was telling me this, and then they retracted it. So now,
and then he said, now I'm reporting it. I'm now telling you guys. He said that's the job. And I think he did a very wonderful job of, being wrong gracefully. But that's my problem with like that side and some of the and like the extreme polarization of politics. People in identity politics. A lot of people were so mad with him that even if he says I'm sorry, they're like, no, fuck it, off with his head. He was wrong. And that's where the divide becomes, because people can't be you can't be wrong. And then even if you're wrong, you can't come back and apologize because people still treat you like the first thing that you ever said.
Tone got some.
Yeah, I disagree with I agree with the caption. I disagree with you wholeheartedly because I was watching this guy and he knew he was wrong back then. People was telling him he was wrong, and he was doubling down on defending Fauci on all the CNN talking points just for him to get fired. That's what all of it.
But what I'm saying is, but who are you to say he knew at the time when he was doing it?
He just said that the medical professionals that he was talking to are now coming out saying that they understood it. So if he's talking to the medical
this is what I'm saying. He was talking to medical professionals then that was telling him. And then on top of that, he was one of these same anchors that was with the propaganda. So long as Donald Trump was in charge when this first came out, the shot wasn't safe. Wasn't no way he was gonna take the shot. Wasn't no way he would do it. Then, doggone soon as Joe Biden got in office and started saying like it was okay to promote it, then everything became okay, and that's the route they took. If you go back and you watch all of this stuff, these guys just speak talking points. Oh, he a sellout, bro, and he need to stay where he at. That's how I feel about it. He need to stay where he at. It's a whole bunch of these anchors that come out here and they want to tell you.
So you think he was doing? He was saying that in bad faith. And he was being paid to stay on that side.
There's literally CNN producers who've been caught on camera talking about how they was told to keep promoting these same talking points. So these people, him, Don Lemon,
but why did he get fired?
I forgot why he got fired. They fired him, Don Lemon, and all. I don't know. They just reset everything.
But
for going,
he got fired for going against the establishment, like shit. Like that.
Really, if you being honest, that's the same reason why Tucker Carlson got fired.
Tucker Carlson is what, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so I think that.
So if you go against the establishment,
like I have to go back and look. I don't remember explicitly off the top of my head, but what I would say is that what it sounds like your issue would be more so the doctors that was feeding him the information. If they knew it was wrong, I think that's where like the point would be at.
This man lying out the skin of his teeth, like straight up. He's sitting there telling you, "Oh yeah, the doctors was giving you the wrong information." No, you knew it too, and you sat there.
No, but the reality is that if you go back to that time, you can't really find outside of like these fringe one or two doctors. The majority of medical professionals were saying that ivermectin, horse. Bro, I lived the thing. Like I remember the time. Like every time somebody came out, they were ostracized. That's a fact.
That's true.
Yes, you can find the one or two people, whether you want to call them whistleblowers, XYZ. But if the majority of medical professionals are giving you a thing, then like if you're somebody that's going by the rule of the law, and like if majority says this, I can't be specifically mad at you if you change your mind when you find out they were lying to you.
If there is scientific evidence that comes out proving that this thing, because the thing is, before you sit there and dismiss something, the same way we talking about giving him the benefit of the doubt, he didn't give nobody the benefit of the doubt. He was promoting that ivermectin was a horse pill and it didn't work, even though there was evidence in papers, science, that said that it did.
But what if all of like the other
then also the thing? So you're saying like there was a whole bunch of evidence that it worked for COVID?
Yes, there was evidence going along the way that this worked to solve COVID. There was people being healed from ivermectin.
No, I understand, but at the same time, you do understand that in order for us to globally accept ivermectin as the treatment for COVID, they would then also have to put the trial. They would have to, you know what I mean? It's not like, okay, well, I heard some people were doing this and this was working for them. So what are we going to say? Oh, everybody should now start taking ivermectin.
Okay, so listen now. Now ivermectin was out before
COVID,
before this jab was even created. Now he was promoting the jab after it was out, after it was created for like it was created within a year. He was promoting this jab that was created within a year and dismissing the science on ivermectin the whole time. So how could he be so sure about something that was created in under a year? But on this,
because we're being told that it was specifically made for this
by other scientists, the medical professionals. That's what I'm saying. Like it seems like the issue would be the medical professionals and the whether you want to go deep state or the people that are pushing that. But if in reality he is getting his information from the majority of the professional, like medical professionals, it's kind of hard to just be like you knew. But if you can track. Because I remember the time, like going against the jab, quote unquote, back in that time was like an outlier opinion to have in general.
Okay, so you went against it though, right?
Yeah, I did.
So why did you go against
it? It's mad fucking reasons. I fucking grew up in a conspiratory house.
Were you against it, or did you just decide that you weren't gonna do it?
I'm not the biggest like vaccine proponent like person in general. So like I have like layers. Like I also grew up in a household that was under the guise of like at one point in time Nation of Islam. Mm-hmm. So like you hear my mother. My mother was not for the shit for a while either. Mm-hmm. Like, but that's like an antecedent to like how I like grew up and developed. So I'm not like pro-vaccine in general. Like I don't get the flu shots. I don't get any of that. But I also can like differentiate. I mean, take away myself from what was actually culture at the moment. And like looking at what like culture and what most scientists and everybody else was saying, like they were going against what I was saying, even though I had my own perspective on it.
Right.
Like I remember like there was a split within my family over the whole shit. And me just standing on what I believe because I didn't want to. But like at the time, if we're just saying like scientific evidence was pointing towards like you should take the thing, take this, do that, do X, Y, Z. And to forget about that part and pretend like anybody that was moving on those lines of what they thought was good and say that they were in bad faith, it's hard for me to do that part.
No, I agree. I mean, and then we can say him, and then you can look at, okay, so we had the medical, the people that were doing the studying. Then we also have we also have the motherfuckers who control the news media. Right, you know what I mean? So like, it's hard for me to say, oh, it was you, when it's like all of these fucking things, these wheels turning around you, which create everything that you're saying.
And what it does is it makes an echo chamber for what you want to hear. Same difference with like, I think some niggas was jumping off the ledge with some of the things they were saying on the other side of it too, as well.
All I'm saying is for them to have the gall to know something that was created in under a year. Just common sense says, hey, this was created in under a year. Normally, a jab takes 9 years to create. This is created in under a year. I don't think I'm going to trust that. Common sense. Even if y'all can keep making up every excuse about what the medical doctors were saying, the only one who was promoting that jump was Fauci.
Yeah, but then,
well, that's not true. Like
it was predominantly Fauci.
But under like if Fauci was the top of it, there was like a full pyramid of people.
And there was also a lot of doctors who was coming out saying, telling the truth. And
no, for sure. But if you were to say like it was a lot, would you say in comparison to the other pyramid, it was like minute?
For
all
sure.
I'm saying is these people knew they were selling us a lie. There's evidence that they knew they were selling us a lie. If you go back and you watch the hearings on this exact topic, there was plenty of hearings going on. They knew they was lying.
Well, to me, I
got a question for Tone. If they were, a couple years later, they're now coming back. Is there no forgiveness? Like, is that the worst thing?
It's like you can't trust that there are other people whose words you need to be listening to besides this guy. Whatever his agenda is, he already done showed his face. He'll say whatever in order to.
But that don't even sound like what he's like professing to. It sounds like an evolution of like most people that get. Man, like go from left to right or right to left.
This is what I believe.
Evolves with information.
Tell you the truth right now, just to lie to you again later. Like just because you're gonna
come and wrap
yourself in candy, like you're gonna give me some candy right now, and then you're gonna put me in your van later on. Like no,
I guess. I mean, like from what I know, like the PBD podcast and like Valuetainment in general. So what they are, they're very right leaning. They're very conservative leaning. But what they do is bring in a lot of like left leaning like people to actually have like the dialogue, right? Yeah. With Chris Cuomo, he's actually signed with their group to be in essence like an opposing perspective to check them. And I think like so he's not even like getting onto like a space to where he's trying to kowtow like the same opinion as another. He's actually coming in as an opposition still.
I was about to say we out of time, but controlled opposition.
Okay. Controlled
opposition.
Yeah, we'll get back to that one. I like that. That was a good one. I gotta go back and dig some more up. But we'll end it with Q, see what we got, and then we'll
go to the memes. Can you hit the all right, we're gonna start for fun first. We're gonna start basketball wise. Go Big Baby. This will be like, how do you make like the best out of like the worst scenario? Glenn Davis, he just got sentenced to like 40 months, I want to say, in jail for like scamming the NBA's healthcare plan. Look at his look at his perspective on it.
I got a cold imagination though. You know, I do that actor shit. I got a cold imagination. I'm gonna have to choke a chicken in the bathroom. That's crazy. I'm gonna be swole though. I swear to God, I'm about to get in so much shape. Oh God. That's the only way you can stop me from eating hamburgers is put me in jail. That's what God said. I'm gonna stop you eating hamburgers. I'm gonna put you in jail. You don't want to stop eating hamburgers and Cheetos? You're going to jail. So now I'm gonna come to Rock.
Damn.
All right.
Damn.
So continuing on basketball, like I said, hey, John, Tone, hit the timer too.
So, but hold on, I have a quick question. How was
Okay.
he taking advantage of the NBA healthcare?
I don't remember what it was, but it was like a whole Ponzi scheme of like a bunch of different former NBA players that kind of all got like caballed into the same little issue. It happened maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
They're just now kind of going down with the whole thing. We're gonna keep it real quick. We done with the 90s, but we're gonna go. So the we're gonna go from the one right beside Big Baby on the right. You can go to that one first. You can go right or left, to be honest. Either one.
Did you know that Michael Jordan once played point guard for a month and destroyed the entire NBA? So back in March 1989, Jordan was super frustrated with the Bulls. The team had a 34-24 record. It was the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference with only 24 games left in the regular season. At that point in MJ's career, he had a 5-15 record in the playoffs. And the year before, in 88, Jordan had to average over 45 points per game in the first round of the playoffs to beat the Cavs because the second leading scorer of the Bulls only scored 10 points. MJ knew he couldn't beat teams like the Pistons and Lakers like that, so he came up with a plan. Jordan sat down with head coach Doug Collins for 2 hours and he agreed to move Jordan to point guard. That way, the ball is always in his hands and he can set up opportunities for his teammates. The first game they tried this was on March 11th, and immediately it terrified the entire NBA. That night, Jordan blew out the Sonics, having 15 assists, but that was just the beginning. Jordan then had an 11-game stretch with 10 triple-doubles. And after he had 34 points and 17 assists on Clyde Drexler, he said he was a better point guard than Magic. The next year, Jordan moved back to shooting guard when Phil Jackson became the head coach, but he didn't go back to just scoring. In the 91 finals, when Jordan beat the Lakers to win his first championship, he averaged over 31 points and nearly 12 assists. Nobody has averaged that many assists in the last 31 years in the finals. And for more stories, drop a follow.
That's wild.
Did you know
31
that?
and 12 in the finals is crazy. But go to the next one. We done with the 90s.
Done with them.
Well, for some context, throughout this 3-year span, Michael made on average 4.4 left-handed isolation moves, or in this case, isolation possessions, that resulted in 1.31 points per possession. Now, here are some prolific scorers from this season and their overall tendencies and efficiency in isolation. Keep in mind, this data includes both right-handed and left-handed moves from these players. And now here is Michael Jordan, with just his left hand. So, yeah, I'd say contrary to what has now become popular belief, Michael Jordan had a left hand. And I cannot believe we had to dig into the data to come to this conclusion.
Yeah. I ain't just gonna go off of what he's calling data. But they did. So I was listening to Gilbert, and like a lot of people don't like Gilbert's analysis of basketball and shit. A lot of people don't like him. But what he said was that a lot of the clips that, well, this is not what he said. A lot of the clips that my boy is showing that was done, it was like the earlier, because at first he didn't have a left hand, and he did work on that. You know what I mean? Based on, and this is what. So based on what I was seeing is that like during this, I don't know what the time period was, but he didn't have a left hand, and it was pretty bad. But then he developed that over time, and it seemed like he kind of just. If he wanted to go left, he could have really been good at going left to begin with because he learned, you know what I mean? He started to dominate with his left very easily.
Yeah, the game evolves in itself. So, like, you're comparing, like, 1983-84 basketball to, like, when he became literally Michael Jordan, 88-89. Like, you could just look at the clips. He's going left, and he's just as efficient as going right. But also... I think his name is Mike something, but what he did is he took all the lowlights. And if you take the lowlights from any era, you can make everybody look crazy because that's what Shaq and the Fool is. Like you just get a player compilation like JaVale McGee, Shaq and the Fool compilation. You think that he's just trash. But then you actually see JaVale McGee and his actual impact on winning. He's right there. Him and Dwight Howard, their impact on winning and all their highlights, what it actually looks like, it's really, really different. And that's like the thing we
gonna dive into the basketball. I was gonna say, like, it was a lot of bum ass. The average player was a lot worse than the average player is now.
And like, what time are you talking about? The 80s or 90s?
Well, just whenever we could say when Jordan was Jordan.
So we're saying like 90s basketball?
90s, like late 80s to early 90s basketball.
I think that's such it's a misinformed conversation. One, like the skill set of the players today is going to be way better, right?
Okay.
Athleticism today is going to be way better. Ability to play basketball right now is way worse.
Better. Oh, you said
no,
you're talking about more defensively is what you're talking about.
I'm talking about across the board.
Okay.
Like can you move without the ball? Do you understand what a flare screen is, what a ghost screen is? So this is where right now American basketball is losing to European basketball. So European, like if you go like the past 10 years, like 7 of the MVPs of the league have been European.
No, for sure.
Like the Europeans are dominating the top of of basketball. But if you notice, the Europeans aren't athletic.
Yeah, I think
they also look like the old head that's playing at the park. It's because of like it's actually really cerebral, and why the NBA is defuncting like the NBA G League. Why there's a push for more European players. Why like right now like there's a big issue with the one and done thing. Is because of players are now coming in like they can do a bunch of things. They don't know how to play basketball.
Well, they know how to play basketball. They're not developed with the proper foundations.
They don't know the game.
No. So that's what I'm saying. Like you're taking a skill set for playing organized basketball. Do you know how to like? Do you know how to X out on a fucking like shell drill? Like these are the things that the reason why like all the players are going you're getting drafted into the lottery and then you're spending 3 years in the G League.
Right.
It's because they don't know how to play basketball.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. To play the team sport of basketball.
Right. They're skilled individual, like cone drill.
And a lot of it just take like just playing. It's not something that like there's certain people that can just learn it, like, you know, that are just more advanced in just understanding. But a lot of it is just like Luka. Luka's so good because he was playing when he was 17. And so he's had a lot of basketball that he's played. He's not the fastest.
No, but I think that's the problem. The problem is that they all just playing basketball. It's that they aren't being taught basketball.
Luka knows how to play basketball.
He's been playing professional basketball.
Right. But also being coached. And
right,
a lot of the teams, like from what I understand, like a lot of the teams, they don't go in like the playbooks and you know what I mean? It's more of like they're playing fucking freestyle.
But the thing is
basketball.
But the issue is that it's dumbed down because of right now. So this is what I'm saying. And you know what? I'm gonna try and get off of this because I didn't really want this to be that long. But previously coming into the NBA, like players naturally had like 3 years of college basketball. Mm-hmm. College basketball is where you really learn basketball. Right. In comparison to now, they're pretty much going one and done and it's quick and out. So you're not really even learning basketball like this. You're still coming into the NBA as a high school player. And that's where the drop off of like basketball is. But now you can see the same thing taking place in NCAA when it comes down to the transfer portal and who's winning championships now. Mm-hmm. It used to be that the teams that could get the best one and done talent will win. But transfer portal, damn it, I don't want to go too deep. But nonetheless, it changed the entire game where like you no longer have to sit out a year to transfer. So now the best schools are getting the best. Like, well, no, they're not getting the best. They're getting older, more experienced players.
I see what you're saying.
And so like UConn they won a championship without having top tier talent. Mm-hmm. They went back to back without having top tier talent. They just have better basketball players.
Yeah, the mother niggas got the hoopers, but these niggas have basketball players.
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
Let's go to one with Shorty with the black hat. It don't matter which one you want to click on.
Black men are fucked in a number of ways. They're having to contend with this white patriarchal world that says masculinity is this, right? Masculinity is two things. It's either you being successful and having money and being at the top of the food chain, which the black man has no structural access to, or it's you being strong or aggressive, or you can act out, or you can exercise this traditional masculinity that the black man is criminalized for. When we talk about black boys or without talking about trying to raise them into strong black men, like, being men and having, and if you have a world, you're a black boy, you're not allowed to be emotional, you're not allowed to express, you're not this, but what you are allowed to, the only thing that they tell you to do, or that you can be, is angry and tough and strong, which then turns into like, aggressiveness and acting out. And it's those same people that are telling you that's the only version of masculinity they will accept for you, that are telling you you're bad, they're punishing you, they're criminalizing you, and those exact same qualities that are the only things they allow you to exhibit are going to be what they use in just a couple of years to say you're a bad Black husband, you're a bad Black boyfriend, you're a bad Black father, and all these different things. So like, what tools are we actually giving the Black man or the Black boy to survive to be able to say it's a crutch? Where's the crutch?
And real, I feel like this might run close to your topic.
Yeah. But first, before we get into my topic, because you put this in here prior to even knowing my topic, I wonder what was it that about this one that made you kind of?
Oh no, I think that she pointed out really good things to kind of like put into context when having some of these conversations, where like Black men do not benefit from the top part, like the actual beneficial part of quote unquote patriarchy. And like what some of these things end up like manifesting itself at the top of it. It's still a glass ceiling to what, like as Black men, if we just look at whether we talk about like income earnings, XYZ, what you're actually able to reach. But then it's like the other side of the coin where as Black men, in which we all sit and kind of like talk about, and she did a better job of articulating it. So I'm gonna try and like run down some of the things that she said, but where there is a push for you to be like this very masculine thing that once you get over a certain age becomes demonized immediately. And like that's the conundrum that a lot of Black men end up having to walk and figure out, where like we want men to be men, but when Black men are men, it ends up looking more aggressive in the eyes of like the people who might be in power. And it might be looked at as like in comparison to like when Brad or whoever else might be being like a type A personality and he's a go-getter.
Tom Brady.
Right. Tom Brady and Cam Newton. But like I said, I thought that it was like a really interesting pairing of things because of like, I think we all do. And there's some parts of us that still want to instill a lot of those things. But there is like this weird little space where it's only cute to a time, and then it almost becomes demonized by society, whether you like it or not.
Consequences for it,
right?
I'll let you go, Rhea. I'll let you introduce the topic.
Okay. So I guess what my topic is like I'm trying to figure because we hear masculinity, right? But then we also have heard within the last maybe 3-4 years, maybe the idea of toxic masculinity.
Okay.
And so what I wanted to like kind of dive into is like, what does masculinity look like? And then where's that line and where it becomes toxic? Like, what is the difference you'd say between masculinity and what that looks like and what toxic masculinity looks like? Or does toxic masculinity actually exist in your opinion or not?
Well, I want you to go. I do want to hear your response to what she said. Then I want to dive into your question.
So to be completely honest, I was so caught up in trying to put it in the chat that like I didn't really get to hear everything she was saying. Okay. So I wouldn't even pretend to be able to like rebuttal or have you know what I mean, to what she was saying.
Well, I'll say this. I think it's like what she's talking about. It's like as a young man, they tell you all of these things are right. And then, like you say, the moment you get 18, it's wrong.
So give me examples of what, because I'm assuming she gave examples.
Yeah. Do you want to play it again?
Yeah, play it one more time. Okay. Let's do that. That'll be, let's play that one more time. My bad.
I think it was that first one.
Black men are fucked in a number of ways. They're having to contend with this white patriarchal world that says masculinity is this, right? Masculinity is two things. It's either you being successful and having money and being at the top of the food chain, which the Black man has no structural access to, or it's you being strong or aggressive, or you can act out, or you can exercise this traditional masculinity that the Black man is criminalized for. When do we talk about Black boys without talking about trying to raise them into strong Black men, like, being men and having, and if you have a world, you're a Black boy, you're not allowed to be emotional, you're not allowed to express, you're not this, but what you are allowed to, the only thing that they tell you to do, or that you can be, is angry and tough and strong, which then turns into like aggressiveness and acting out. And it's those same people that are telling you that's the only version of masculinity they will accept for you, that are telling you you're bad, they're punishing you, they're criminalizing you, and those exact same qualities that are the only things they allow you to exhibit are going to be what they use in just a couple of years to say you're a bad Black husband, you're a bad Black boyfriend, you're a bad Black father, and all these different things. So like, what tools are we actually giving the Black man or the Black boy to survive, to be able to say it's a crutch? Where's the crutch?
I love the question. What tools? See, I think you wanted my opinion, right? So now I see what she said. So my opinion is that masculinity is not necessary. Like I think we're getting to a point to where, like, or at least my understanding of what I call masculinity has nothing to do with like the things that she was talking about. So I think that what tools are we giving Black men to become masculine? To me, that's a great question.
But she's saying there's not a lot of tools that we're giving them.
Right. And I agree. I think that like we're giving them what people would consider toxic masculinity. All of this fucking, this fucking Congo shit, all of this fucking big and all of that shit. See, like, I don't believe that. First, I believe being a man means something that's different than what they've been teaching us it means. And so that's why another one of my questions is like, what would we say a man is? But I think that like the idea that like being able to disagree and not like the ability for me and you to get into a disagreement and you to stand where you stand and I stand where I stand. And at the end of the day, I think that if we have to fight, then that would be more toxic masculinity than it would be masculine.
But are they teaching us the communication skills to be able to?
And that's why I said she had a good question there. Just at the end, the good question is just where, how are we getting the tools? Where are the tools coming from? Or do we have the tools? And I don't believe that they're being taught.
Also, right. But do you think that like as she walked down those examples of how like confusing it could be to be a Black boy, growing up where the things that you are taught are also demonized at the same time, depending on where you're setting at?
For sure.
Do you see validity in it or not?
I see validity in that. And then it's also the question is where are we being taught these things from?
From the home front.
But are we actually being taught this or are we actually, well, I mean, are we being taught this or is this something that we're constantly seeing and believe that we have to do because of this is what is around us? Like, or is it like someone that's like
men that are like men that are raising their sons often regurgitate a lot of the things that they say.
Okay, and I can't talk from that place because I wasn't like, you know what I mean? I didn't have my pops in there teaching me how to be a man. So yeah. I don't know like what that experience is.
I think like the idea of like toughness, if you like aggressiveness is usually inside the form of like all the sports that you're in. Like you hear like be aggressive often. Like it's not like a thing that's not said. Again, like toughness, like a lot of these different little things that are ascribed are given.
I actually think that all those things are good, but it's with proper placement.
Oh no, for sure.
So like these things, like being aggressive, I mean, there's a level of maturity that has to come with your understanding of what aggression is and where to be aggressive and where the negative, you know what I mean, where you show or exemplify this negative and without the proper placement, aggression is negative. You know what I mean? But if you actually have the proper placement, all of those words can be put forward in a positive way to yield positive results. If you're taught I agree. Like taught it as a tool, like this is a hammer. You know what I mean? If you're taught that this is a tool.
Do you believe that that's how it's, because like if we're just going to the meme, I think that I don't think that it's usually taught inside like
Absolutely not.
Inside the way in which it's being used as a tool in comparison to being like this is almost what you should shape your shit around. Same difference with like men and like sexual promiscuity being taught and that being a crutch of your manhood.
I believe that part, the sexual promiscuity, that's taught. Like, but as far as like the aggression, all these things, I don't think they're being taught because there's no actual explanation that comes behind the thing. Well, you're just being just shown.
It's programming.
Like, it's like your environment says that this is what you see all around you, and so you're just being what you see.
So I guess Johnny, you'll be like another voice inside the thing. Where I do think that I don't know many men that were raising like their sons back inside that time that didn't double down on masculine, like these traditional masculine traits, and like really push against like these feminine traits. And if you exhibited any of that, like it was gonna be like real words said to you.
No, I think so. To answer like the original question, like I think, like yeah, my dad definitely was times where like, nah, my son don't do this, son don't do that. He don't get his ears pierced. He don't have long. Yeah, there was certain like,
and it wasn't like a big explanation behind it.
Traditional, like this is what men do, that's what women do, no questions asked. But it comes a point where I think something we're not taught as black men and a tool that we need, like you would say, that communication. But it should be like an individual discernment. You got to know what works for you. He has to know what works for him. You have to know, what works for you. I got to know what works for me. I can't necessarily just go by like what the world says a man is, because I'm not that same man. And I think there becomes a time, like as a black man, you have to have that realization, because growing up, you're taught all of these things are you're supposed to do this, supposed to do that, supposed to do that. Not just your parents, but the media, culture, society, all of that programs you to be like a certain way, especially as a black man. There comes a point when you realize that's not the most effective and the most positive way for me to live my life. And I'm going to have to go back through some of these things I was taught and unlearn them and relearn the proper way to do a lot of things. And I think that's the scary part. I think that's where a lot of time we're not taught how to go back, and the world says do this, but you're your own man. You can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to follow the world. And I think when you ask what's a man, I think individual discernment, being able to do what the fuck you want to do because you want to do it, not because everybody tells you to do it. I think that's one of the big things of being a man.
And I'm gonna throw right to you. But I guess like I do want to like make like a better caveat to like a statement I was just making. I think that what you were saying and what I was saying, they kind of go hand. Well, there's a marriage of the two. I think that from what you're saying is that like a lot of people observe the thing and they try and like emulate the thing. In which I do think that that's true, and it's probably true for more people than it's not when you look at like the single mother rate within the black community.
Right.
But also on the other side, what I'm saying is that the other side is still feeding into the exact same thing. So it's not like different messaging that's happening either way. Like it's both sides are still feeding the exact same thing. Though I think more people are probably picking up on the idea of like the visual messaging of it. Yeah.
So and I like that. So what I was going to say is like I agree with everything's been said, and that's the very reason why like I realized that in hindsight, when I look back, like literally like growing up in the neighborhoods where if you lived in the neighborhood, you believed that you had to be this. It wasn't like somebody was telling me anything. It was like, shit, this is what's going on around me, and I have to do this to make sure that I'm safe. Not only to make sure I'm safe, to be accepted. So like growing up, we grew up like if you grew up without like I ain't gonna say.
But you knew examples of people who didn't, and you see maybe
fruits. But what I'm saying is that you don't necessarily see that and be able to. I'm gonna tell you like that wasn't something that I was able to see all of my life, to see like men that were just doing so. And then even if you did see it, he ain't tell you nothing. Like you, I need for you to tell me something. I don't know. Like me, I can look at you and be like, oh yeah, he just not where I'm from. You know what I mean? That's all it is. He just not where I'm from. And so what it is that when you grow up in these scenarios, being in the hood and like growing up, we are monolith. We are monolith in those spaces because the culture is, I don't believe that it's so bad as it was. At least when I was in the neighborhoods I lived in, when I was living in the hood, like you were this or you weren't like.
But whose fault is that? Because I think there are examples of people who try to come to the hood and show light and show them the light. I don't think the hood's that way, but I think the hood might not be, open. And that's what I'm saying. Some of that individual discernment has to be there, where you have to be okay with going against the grain, because if we're not, we see where the grain is taking us. And if one person doesn't start the trend, the trend will never get started. So it has to start on an individual level.
And I think that I agree with you. But the thing is that also in my neighborhood, there were no men. Like when the neighborhood that I lived in I most remember. So I was born in Greertown. Then but the neighborhood that I remember most was right across from Thomasburg Elementary. It's called Riverwood Hills, and it was a pretty much a single mom neighborhood, and so there weren't any men in that neighborhood that were talking. It was pretty much the kids, and you knew who their moms was. Like we all knew everybody's moms, and there was no men in the neighborhood. You had the man, all the. It's crazy. You know, my memory bad. I remember the dude who was doing the damn maintenance, Ron. You know what I mean? This nigga's damn near the only man in the neighborhood. Damn near. So like we're literally looking at each other to figure out what this thing's supposed to look like. And the only thing we know is what the hip hop culture is or urban culture is telling us, and it's to be tough. You know what I mean? Shit get tough. You gonna have to fight. And even though you fight, y'all still can be cool afterwards, but you're gonna be stealing, you know what I mean? You're gonna be doing these things. And this is just, you're going to be a product of your environment. And this is what everybody's doing. This is what everybody's doing. You know what I mean? And so you don't even, you saying discernment, discernment. I don't necessarily believe, I believe that could be something that's taught. You have to be taught that you are an individual. Well, you may see yourself as an individual.
Well, no,
otherwise,
I think that's a tool that we need to be taught.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm not saying it's there or that, but that's something that the people that you see that make it out of those situations, the people that you see that the few that do escape, that's one of the common denominators that they've all had. But they saw that shit and was like, nah, that's not right. Whether they had the proper, role models to see it, or it was something that was internal, or they went somewhere and had an experience that taught them. But that individual discernment is something that when you look at the people who do make it, that's something that they've always had. And that's something that it has to be taught. We have to teach our kids. We have to teach these young black men how to have that.
Gotcha. I guess the spot that I was going to push back on was the hood is a monolith, and I'm sure you didn't explicitly mean it as a monolith, but I do think that there is a monolithic culture to it. And so I agree with that, where I think that there definitely is a monolithic culture, but I also think that on an individual basis, when you talk to niggas, quote unquote, from the hood, like you realize how different every individual is, and how smart every individual is, and how impacted by like very much individual circumstance they are. And because the quote unquote the hood is not like its own like trap either, where it's enough people that consistently make it out of it as well, depending on like your discernment in the moment. But I also wouldn't go to the point of acting like there isn't an overall monolithic culture that does promote a bunch of like negative low-hanging fruit habits. Like I know in my hood, like I said, my brother was the first one out of his friend group that graduated, but most of the people that I knew that was inside my age and above, they didn't make it past 9th grade. That men, my bad. So I'm speaking men. The females, they still went to school. The females really wasn't actually dropping out. But in my neighborhood, the men dropped the fuck out. It just was what the fuck it was. But that didn't mean that was every single person, but it was a culture of that thing happening.
Right. And okay, so now that we've had that conversation, I would really still want to be able to have to have the conversation of what does masculinity look like, and where is that line to where masculinity becomes toxic, or does toxic masculinity exist or not?
I want to ask for the masculinity part. I want to go kind of piggyback on where I was at earlier, but I think it's everybody's gonna have a different set of like personal beliefs and a moral compass that's decided on a bevy of factors decide what's your moral compass. But being a man is like how you navigate the world and how true you stay to your moral compass. If you're taught to tell the truth, if you're taught to not lie, not steal, and then you go through life and you're lying, you're stealing, you're not living what you were, the moral compass that you have. That's not being a man. I think also, how well you fight to keep that. When you're faced with tough decisions, it's like how does your integrity, come through? I think that's one of it. When you talk about the toxic masculinity, is when you start to go against what you know is right to appease or to look right. You might know this is what I'm supposed to do, this is right, but the culture says this is what was right, and I'm gonna go with that outside influence, even though I know internally what might be right.
So just to give a little pushback on what you're saying, it sounds like what your definition of a man it's not gender based, because those very same characteristics can be said of a woman. So
what did you say? What's a man or masculinity?
Yeah, it sounded like he was answering what makes a man. I was talking about
what makes a man, but I think
that was one of the questions I was going to use for no. But I'm saying masculinity explicitly but I was just saying based on what you were saying, it didn't sound like there were like man specific things. It was more of like something that could have went one way or the other.
Well, I guess that was kind of gender neutral, but I think that's part of being a mature person or mature adult out here in the world, man or woman. But I think part of is that that integrity. I think.
I wonder. So all right. So I'm hopping with mine because my answer kind of goes a little bit to this. In which like maybe this is a closer woke statement in which I think that masculinity is probably on a spectrum, and I think that toxic masculinity pushes furthest to the like the furthest end of it, where it's like you have to be like these really stringent things where there are masculine men that like look like Bill Gates, and there's masculine men that look like The Rock, that present like a lot of like these same different little things, in which it becomes like confusing because of masculinity tends to like present itself inside not one specific way consistently. And I think that there's ways in which a person can be like really intellectually strong and stoic and all these different little things. Okay. And that like there's hints of or not even hints, like there's a very masculine frame that exists within that. Mm-hmm. Jordan Peterson is a great example of that. Mm-hmm. But then there's ways in which like some of like the quote unquote traditional masculine tropes might present itself that I think that are also masculine in itself, and there's like value and need in those things as well. Mm-hmm. In which like, so for me to just pin it down to like an explicit specific thing, it's harder. Like
it sounds like what you said, like the teacher and the warrior are both necessary.
For sure.
And both these things are masculine.
Right. And when you like demonize one for the other, mm-hmm. explicitly, it's if you're just saying like the warrior is what masculinity is,
right?
Like you tend to get lost because of like there's a whole other side of things in which like you need people to fight for as well.
No, I agree with that. That's a great answer. That was a great answer. Fuck you laughing for, man. That's a great answer. I can't give my man some props.
Hey, no, it was a great answer. It was just a face, like your face was like, oh yeah. That's what I'm going with.
Y'all niggas crazy.
Okay,
so fuck you laughing for it. It's crazy. Boy.
So I guess I'll answer too. Like for me, masculinity it does present itself in different ways. I believe the toxic portion is when it comes to a point, really once you get to the extreme, like you said, the rah shit, mm-hmm. the rah, the chest beating, like when it comes down to a point to where the disagreement means somebody dies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The anytime it has to be got like death over normal discourse. Well, because I believe that like an argument at the end of the day, like, bro, we can have the argument.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, if it boiled down to it and somebody did fight, as long as it's based in principle, mm-hmm. it could make sense. And I could say that, like, yeah, I mean, it's still there. These are two masculine men ended up having to come to an understanding based in the way that men come to understanding sometimes. But when it gets to a point to where like, once you start to OD, I guess like it's the extreme of the thing. Mm-hmm. I believe masculinity is the protector. I believe, you know what I mean? Masculine is going to protect the things that he loves and the people and things that he holds dearest. He'll protect those things. Those are masculine characteristics. The man that will destroy the community mm-hmm. in order to protect his the things he holds dear, that becomes toxic.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's the extreme of the thing. I think the man, the protector, provider, also the stoicism. I believe that is a masculine characteristic, and yeah, I believe that these are and when, like I said, when it becomes toxic, it becomes to the detriment of more than it becomes to the detriment of more than necessary, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once the harm is more than necessary, then it becomes toxic.
Yeah. And so I think that segue, you use the word principle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of goes a little bit into my question a little bit. I think that where you was at in that, and speaking about like you know what I mean, like principles and morals, can lend itself into a conversation that I've seen bubbling over the past few weeks. Well, not few. Well, we're going on week 2, I guess. And I'll frame it as where do you draw the line, right? This is going off the back of like the Kendrick, the Drake, whole conversation battle diss, and me seeing some people defend actions that otherwise I would have thought that we all had consensus already that we just didn't agree with. Like for me, like whether it's Drake and it's the whole like him kissing and talking to like underage women, and I've seen like people on the timeline like going on heels, crazy heels,
crazy,
like being like, hey, well, statutory 16 is hey, y'all want to have that conversation. You know, them grown men used to pick up them girls, and they use those statements as like justification. All the way down to like I haven't really heard this about the Kendrick thing because of like the fact that it hasn't been like substantiated proof yet. But like having like if he did like beat his wife, if like you're going out and you're standing on the hill, nah, it's all right though. That nigga just beat a woman. It ain't nothing. I think that like at what point do you like separate your principles and morals from like what you like, listen to, agree with, XYZ? And again, I'll ask, so where do you draw the line?
Well, I draw the line when it comes to like what's outside of like my personal, moral compass. Like when it comes to, hurting women, hurting children, abuse, that type of stuff. If personally, like I'm not hanging out with people like that. I'm not kicking it. You can't come around deadbeat father, stuff like that. And that's where like I personally, draw the line. If it was a celebrity, like I'm not rocking with you. We had conversations about, the man and the music, the man, I'm never going, I don't support, people like predators, I don't support abusers. Never gonna kick with, probably not, going to your show. There is another conversation when like we talk about like stuff that's already been put out there in consumption. I think just because I might, consume a song don't mean I'm necessarily advocating, for what this person may have did. So I think that's a totally different conversation. But when it comes to drawing the line, yeah, we ain't got no space in, society for abusers, predators, really any like violent individuals that's going to be on the black community. There shouldn't be, space for that. If we're pushing for a more positive, progressive black world, anything against that has to be where we draw the line. But the consumption of music, especially older music, that's a, totally different, especially when there's timestamps and allegations. Stuff might have been cool up until this point. And then, you don't have to support nobody after, but stuff before, when you're ignorant to something, it's, there's a different conversation. But as a whole, we can't support, that bullshit that's going to be negative to the culture.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think this is actually a very intricate conversation, like especially when you think of cultural norms change over time, and that is a fact. Like that is very much so a fact. Like my great grandmother, she dated guys that were much older than her when she was young. You know what I mean? Like these are things that were very normal.
The misters inside The Color Purple. I think he brought that example up.
Yeah, so like I mean, just like I'm guarantee you that probably all of our great grandmothers, they were young when they got married, or when they first guy this shit would have been illegal right now. I know I'm not condoning You know what I mean? I think that you got to accept the social norms as the time continues. It's like the Old Testament, New Testament. Like, okay, at this point,
I want to actually go look that up.
We have to what specific? What were you talking about?
Like the age gap difference inside the
Different
like
generations.
inside different generations.
Oh, okay.
I know it was more acceptable. I don't know if it was like the majority.
It was.
It was like I'm pretty sure.
Or maybe
like,
my grand
damn
people
near-
was the.
And then I know, like,
about to
especially
look it
in
up
the
right now.
South, I can't speak like, I've been in the South my whole life. Even when I went in the military, I was in the South. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know.
Johnny, do your people have like a age gap?
Yeah, it's pretty big, like 16 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty normal. Like it's very much so normal. But the culture of norm has shifted, and I think it's for the better. I think it is for the better. Like at the end of the day, a child doesn't have, you know what I mean, have the ability to make the decisions that are necessary to, you know what I mean, bringing
Well, yeah, of
another
course.
child into the, like, and then being married. You mean the rest of your life and all these things. Like that was during a time when they were treating women like property.
Mm-hmm.
And the father was literally giving his property of his daughter to another man
Mm-hmm.
for an exchange of something. You know what I mean? So like that was just a different cultural time.
Well, that's what the whole idea of talking to the father about marrying.
Yeah, like I don't know why. The
Mhm.
movie Holes. You remember Holes?
Hell yeah, Stanley Zelnitz.
Yeah, Yale
Zelnitz. It was Stanley backwards.
Yeah. Yale Nets or some
Yale
shit
Nets,
like
that's
that.
what-
Yeah, nigga got there all that with the pig. But anyway, that came to mind.
The preserves.
Yeah, right. That came to mind for whatever reason. But yeah, I think that at the end of the day, like, bro, if you own sucker shit, there's a level of more. I have a moral compass. I think that's another part of being not only just a decent person, but as a man, you must stand that way because of the fact that you have the ability. There's a power that is given to men that is not given to women to wield. So there, you must have a level of morality because that's where you're going to get how far you will power, or how far you're willing to go. And so with my level of morality, I'd agree. Like, bro, if you on fuck shit, you ain't finna be able to say they and include me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be the homie and you on fuck shit. And it's like I tell people all the time,
Okay,
like
I
me
see
and
what
my
you're
pops
saying.
is real close and shit. And so like people love to they them, to they us. And I'd be like, hold on, no, they ain't did a damn thing.
Tell them get their pronouns right.
You go
Yeah.
and
At first when you said that, I thought that that's where you was going. That's why I laughed.
Oh,
but,
nah,
but
nah.
I ain't.
Get their pronouns. Don't misjudge
Yeah,
my boy.
I ain't know that, but I understand what you're saying. And that's why I had to
Yeah.
chuckle and then like reel it back.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to because
You
I'm
know
with
what I'm
bruh and
saying,
bruh
though.
be on fuck shit.
Mhm.
You can be like, oh yeah,
Them
they don't
niggas.
take care of they. Hold on, fuck you talking about they? Don't
Mhm.
they me,
Mhm.
motherfucker? No, I definitely. You know what I mean? So that's why you have to have that standard. You know what I mean? And even people that don't necessarily cut the mustard, you want to influence them and to help bring those brothers up as well. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, we all ain't gonna have the same level of stability and the bless. Like the favor ain't fair. Mom Dukes always told. Shout out to Mom Dukes. Favor ain't fair. So like everybody ain't gonna be on the same page, but it is a part of people that you love. You do want them to get to a certain place. You don't condone certain shit, but at the same time, like we do have to put a fucking line in the sand and say like, okay, this shit is not acceptable.
Mhm.
This that kid shit, that shit is not
I
acceptable.
was gonna say abusers and predators.
Yeah,
There's no
abusers,
space.
abusers, and but I also think that like in relationships, there's a lot of turmoil in relationships that could lead to something happening. But if
That
you a
don't make
fucking
you an
abuser,
abuser. That don't
exactly,
make you an abuser.
there's a difference. Like
Yeah.
you can say like Kendrick and his old lady got into a spat, and then who knows what happened? She might have hit him first. However, that's a different
not
situation
an
than saying an
abuser, yeah.
abuser like what we seen on the Tina Turner jump.
Where there's a pattern.
Ike
of the
was
same.
goddamn whooping ass. You know what I mean?
He was an
abuser.
Yeah, no space. for
There's
that.
levels to shit. So like you know what I mean? Just to label somebody. But yeah, anyway, that's how I feel about it. Like, yeah, we have to have,
I
especially
think that's a
as men, we got to start exemplifying. We have to be the fucking status quo. We have to set the standard ourselves. I think that like we've had the matriarchy for quite some time, and now it's what it's seeming to me is that we need to start being accountable, start
Black-
holding ourselves to the standard, holding each other to the standard, and making that the norm, so that we can change our culture. Because we can see that if we keep letting them go, we're gonna be fucked. if we keep letting them run, ass gonna be out all over. You ain't gonna know the difference between prostitutes and goddamn women that work at the bank.
What you got to say about prostitutes, Johnny?
I see Johnny on the service road right off Sugar Creek. I seen him on the service
No,
road.
don't do that. Don't do that.
Hell no, you didn't. Hell, I was on the way to your crib.
It was true. You could have just took 85. Why you hit the service road?
Huh?
What? Huh?
I don't know my way around there. I don't know my way around the parts. I don't go to Sugar Creek. I don't know. My
Johnny
way.
said he used to drive trucks.
No, hell no.
Exactly.
I don't mess with lizards.
Exactly.
But no, I will say this. I think like this is a great conversation. I think you know it kind of calls back to something I always say: grace and empathy, or accountability and empathy. It's where there has to be accountability for certain actions. You know, there's no grace. You know, there's certain, like you say, that line. I think abusers, predators. There's no grace. You know, there's no grace for that. A lot of the other things maybe correctable, you know, behaviors when we're talking about when it comes to our community and where we cross the line. Say like a lot of the gang stuff that goes on. That's correctable, you know, behavior. I don't want to just write nobody out to the community because they're tied up into, you know, semi-violent behavior that they was kind of born into, or they haven't even had a chance to see the other side. That, you know, to me, I think there's a little bit of grace allowed in places like that for in our culture. But when it comes to like anytime you're hurting somebody, anytime you're, you know, causing damage to people, there can't be no accountability. There can't be no grace for that. No empathy.
Okay. I'm fine with where we ended that.
I'm fine myself.
Okay, cool. That was a good one. You know, we wrapped that one up pretty quick.
Unless Tone, you got something? I don't know.
No.
Okay.
Well, shoot, I'll go. I got a meme, but I want to do. I got a 2-part, you know, question. I want to do the first part, and then I want to come into the meme and see if it, you know, changes our perspective on the answer a little bit. You might have seen it already, but
yeah.
But yeah, my question is: are we too comfortable as a society and on the individual level with being miserable? Like, is it, you know, they say misery loves company.
For sure.
You see it a lot where we get into, you know, these echo chambers of different, you know, talking points. You see, it's just a lot of complaining. You know, it's not a lot of solution based. We could even, you know, talk about. They might get mad at me, but they like even some of the FBA stuff. You know,
victims.
I just Rail said that, y'all.
Hey, I don't give a shit. Me.
Rail
you
said
see my
that.
camera. It was me.
He said they was victims.
Victims.
I said lack of solutions. But it all goes down to there's a miserable, you know, mindset. They did this. It's so bad. Woe is me. And a lot of time when you even talk about solutions to the people like that, they get super defensive. They get dismissive. They circle back to the problem.
A lot of times they'll be nowhere to be found.
Or sometimes
like they'll
they're not even
dip on solution talk.
Sometimes, yeah, when it comes to solutions, they like, well,
that's
my
my
piece.
cue.
Let me get up out of here.
Right.
And it just makes me wonder why or what makes us so comfortable, you know, with that mindset, or with not having, you know, solutions to certain problems. I wonder, because ain't nobody coming to save us. It ain't like if we just complain and bitch enough that, you know, some magic genie gonna come down and snap his fingers and fix all the problems. So, I mean, we have to start doing something to change it. And that's, I guess that's my question. Are we too comfortable with miserable?
I 100% believe so. I believe that that we've accepted the roles. We've accepted the role of victims. I think that we, like, at this point, like, if you look at hip hop, like when you see, if you hear that a nigga didn't come from the struggle and he a rapper, it's like, man, this nigga, he don't even know nothing about black culture. Like, my thing is like, it's okay to be a middle class rapper. Like, if you think about it, it's not okay in hip hop to be. I ain't talking about Drake because Drake's Jewish, but I'm talking about like a nigga that came from a 2-parent household and is rapping it's not okay and that's why you would even see that they'll try to be victims as well. They'll become victims just to be rappers.
Real happy marriage.
Like literally, they'll become victims just to be rappers. And our culture really perpetuates a victimhood. And I think we need to stop that shit. That is to the detriment, in my opinion. Yes, we want to be miserable. And then it's like even like when I listen to like the FBA conversation, it's like, oh, everything that's bad about the black community is the white man. But okay, so we're gonna accept all of the goods. Everything that we did that was good, we did, and it's honorable and but then when we talk about the bads, it's the white man. He done this and woe is fucking me.
Well, if I was to interject real quick.
Go ahead.
They also say it's the Caribbean man and the African man. Now they throw them niggas under the bus too.
We victims off of every goddamn
thing.
We're the superior victim, is what we trying to prove.
Hey, FBA, if you don't like that, Wednesdays 9:30,
I won't smoke. Fuck it.
Come holler at us.
Give me some smoke, bro. I don't give a damn. I just call it like I see it, bro. At the end of the day, bro. And then then we go from masculinity and then talk about crime. And we talk about what is masculinity, then we talk about toxic masculinity. Then so what is the crime then? What is the victimhood? Not the crime. What is the victimhood? Where is it to where we stand straight and say, okay, that shit is done. That shit is done. And I ain't got to go and do nothing to the white man for it to be done. We can do that in the hoods, bro. We can do that with each other and done that shit.
So I got a question. So you are saying that black people could possibly be successful without reparations?
Bro, that's the dumbest shit I heard. And I heard that. Motherfucker said that we can't be successful without reparations, bro.
Don't worry, Q. I'll come holler at him on Wednesday.
Are you kidding me, bro?
I'm gonna holler at him on Wednesday. Me and him on the same page right now. Stop trying to sow discord.
I think that's fucking stupid. I ain't had no reparations. Q ain't had no reparations. You ain't had no reparations.
I might have had some of them Alex reparations.
Some of the ones they might take back.
Uh-oh.
What you talking about?
He who giveth
shall take it.
Shall take it.
Well, I ain't trying to have them guys. You might have.
I was gonna say the elders ain't let him lay that one down yet.
You said who?
The elders. They ain't let him lay that one down.
He still on his head.
He who giveth taketh away.
Shall take it.
Now I'll transition the question a little bit because I'm gonna bring up a meme in a little bit, and it brings it more to like a individual level, and as an individual.
And more relationship based.
And a little more relationship based. Yeah, it takes it away from the community. But I think there's a correlation there. Why, as like, if you even go to the relationship conversation that we have, a lot of people are misery loves company there too. And it's like, is it a lack or what is it? And if you could pull up the meme for me, Tone, I think this would be a good place for me to drop that meme.
Hopefully the meme shares me somewhere else.
Top right.
I was about to go share.
Top right. Yeah, we'll kick that off.
I was for the free smoke.
I saw you. That's why I was like, hold up.
I was on one.
Before we get there.
Hopefully it takes me somewhere else. I don't need that kind
of smoke. We'd have had a meme from Braille on Unpack. It'd have been fire.
Hey, I just talk shit to the FBA. I don't need all of the smoke in one episode. But if it's FBA, I'm going.
FBA gonna pull up looking for you on Wednesday. Everybody, where that nigga Rail at?
Chiwiku Mbaku is gonna be there. Oh no, he FBA, I think. I don't know how you really say his name. My bad, bro. If you in the chat, my bad.
Vulnerable. And rewind.
Let me sit over here. I don't want to sit by him.
A lot of men would rather be miserable than vulnerable. And what I mean by that is a lot of us suffer from the I'm cool syndrome. I'm good syndrome. When in reality, we know exactly what it is that we want from you. And we be hoping that you figuring it out one day. Instead of us just sitting you down and saying, look, baby, I need this from you. And a lot of women, especially a woman that's in a relationship, a woman that loves you, if you're able to have that kind of open communication, say, baby, I need, again, not want, not would like, not possibly, I need this from you. She gonna make it her mission to meet you there.
Like I said, I think the vulnerable thing, that's true, but I think it's a lack of us wanting to do that work, because that's hard work. That's a lot of scars, and when it comes to having that conversation, you got to put in, you got to be ready, you got to be vulnerable. But on the other side of that comes a lot of peace. I think if I broaden it, I think as a community, once we have those conversations, this is what I need from the women, and this is what we need from the men. I think once we have that, once we sit down, and this is where we falling short, this is where we falling short. Once we have that vulnerability outside of the individual level, yes, it work with your relationship, but as a community, if we're able to come together and put our pride aside, put a lot of the programming that we've had aside, and we're able to just sit and talk, be candid with each other, this is what we need, this is what we need, I think we will find a lot more progress. I think on the other side of those tough conversations, you find a lot more unity and peace. And that's just, that's a thought I had, from that. It just, broadened it out. I'd like to see where y'all at on it.
I feel like I'm still on free smoke mode. Okay, so fuck it. Look, so I believe that at the end of the day, it's accountability, right? So there's a line. So every cause has an effect. So I can tell you this: if you're dealing with yourself and like me, I need to get in the gym. I'm talking belly fat, John. Okay, but so my options will change based on that. If I become big, my options change. If I become broke and like if I can't sustain, my options change there as well. So there's a level of accountability, and this is community wide. Everything, like, we need to be in the gym, because at the end okay, so look, there's an expectation of the man and or woman that you want. There's an expectation of said person. So we look at it, and it's just a relationship side. I mean, I think accountability is just the answer to all of the shit. Because like if I'm the type person, I want a woman that's so feminine and all these different things. Okay, so what kind of man do I need to be? What kind of work do I have to put in to become this man to be able to get this person?
I agree, but why are we running from the accountability? What is it in us that makes us run from said accountability when we know that everything that we want is on the other side of said accountability? Is it do we not really want these things? Are we too lazy to work for it? Are we too scared of what might come? And that's my question. It's like, why, when we know this is the answer, we never kind of as a whole get there?
I say myself, and then I'll let Q go. I say myself, our ceilings, a lot of people, especially when you come from like certain areas, and like especially I believe that, and another question that I have down the line is like, how do you build confidence? I think that is something that's very important. And so like, I think most of our ceilings are low. When you come from certain environments and you've done, and your life has been a certain way, like your ceiling is too low, and you don't even expect much of yourself. So like, you can be a person that, you know what I mean? Like, you won't even apply for, you ain't got no record. You know what I mean? You're an intelligent brother or sister. You know what I mean? But you just don't see yourself as worthy of like this job paying the 80.
In the jar.
You got the degree, and you know what I mean? You got your bachelor's degree or whatever. It doesn't, like, you just don't believe that you're worthy of this. So you never even apply for it. You don't believe that you're worth it. We set our ceiling so low. And then also, a lot of the times, we don't put the work in. I think that if you put the work in, that's what is like to the question of confidence. Once you put the work in, you're confident. Once you put the work in, you're confident. Like there's a level of a lot of people be lazy. And then a lot of people just are, that they put their ceiling so low that they'll be okay with just the bare minimum.
I think the community needs to celebrate the proper accomplishments too. I think there's a lack of, like, when people do the right thing, there's a lack of, people showing up and congratulating. The community don't be there, but let a rapper get out of jail or catch a body.
Free such and such.
Free such and such, and you go in platinum, and people show up for that. But say you went and fed your community, or you do a lot of positive stuff, there don't be a lot of attention that go to that. So in our world, if we want people to do positive, we have to put attention on positive. But if we put attention on negative, that's where people are going to go in the internet age, the clout chasers. They're going to chase what people are looking at. So I believe we have to change what we're looking at and what we congratulate.
Gotcha. Well, so what were y'all just answering just now?
He said, how do you build confidence?
No. That wasn't what we were answering. We were answering your question was.
Y'all didn't respond to the meme at all specifically.
Well, you said, I have a question, what build confidence? And then you answered it.
Oh, yeah, but I had
that.
already answered your question prior to that. So your question was...
so what was your thoughts? I'll ask you. So
okay.
The main thing of hit in the meme, because I don't know if like you addressed it like specifically, head on, was the acceptance of men being miserable versus vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And how sometimes men end up just like, instead of expressing what they want, what they would like to happen, they just be wishing and hoping and like through osmosis the woman to know.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your take on that?
Yeah, I think, and I've actually been there too as that man, where it's like the conversation, and it's, I think, and I'm not trying to. Matter of fact, I'm not going to blame women. I'm going to use this as a nothing about women, which could be a case, but we're going to just leave it to the man. I think that I don't know if we a lot of times even believe in happy relationships. And when I say this, like, it's like the idea that like, and y'all remember on in season 1, I was saying like, I don't even know what happiness feels like. I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know. Y'all remember that when I was saying these things, like, I don't know, like, I think that we men, a lot of men, we've grown to be chameleons. We adapt to our environment and we're willing to just deal with life as life, you know what I mean? And deal with the relationship. And at the end of the day, if I don't say nothing, then it doesn't get any worse. Well, she'll get, you know what I mean? This will calm down. I don't have to give her my expectations because maybe this flips things and it becomes a much bigger fire than I really want to put out at the moment. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying.
So like, I think that's why I was doing it. Like, I was literally just not wanting to have the conversation. And then also I didn't believe that like there was a healthy relationship or what that looks like. I've never seen the shit. So like, is this thing really real? Is that, or if I say this, does this shit just blow up just like everything that I've seen before? And then I've just done this and broken up the relationship because I'm trying to, you know what I mean? So like you never know exactly how that thing's gonna go, and you don't have any.
Tell your woman that you need a specific thing from her.
Oh yeah, because then I need this. You know what I mean? It's just it doesn't necessarily. Most of the time, we as people want to become victim very easily. Anytime someone says something to you, like Brett was saying earlier, he was talking about how men can't take criticism. The man that can't take criticism, when you do provide constructive criticism or criticize at all, he becomes very feminine and starts to be reactionary and emotional and da. And I think that like you can say that you can say that about men, but I mean women. You know what I mean? It's people's egos are very touchy, so like it's easier to stay off of the ego than it is to push it because you never know how bad shit can go.
And I'll answer it personally. I think for me,
acceptance of being miserable versus being vulnerable.
I've been scared of the vulnerability. Like I've been, you know, I mean, if I'm keeping it all the way real about while I've been in miserable relationships, because I ain't want to have that conversation. I ain't want to put myself out there because it's like once I show this weakness, it can be used against me. You know, it's a kind of a fear there. It's been times where I've done that and it has been, you know, turned around and flipped against you. So I think that's like the key. Is for me, it was a fear. I didn't know what was on the other side. I was afraid, and so I knew how to deal with miserable. I know what to do with that. I grew up in that. My mama, you know, family, we all grew up in that. I know how to deal with miserable. On the other side of that, how do you know, what's that other side look like? And that's what, you know, that's where it gets a little scary. It's just like, you know, I'm making it a bigger thing. I'm, you know, making
I agree. I think that it's way easier as a man to be miserable than to be vulnerable.
Facts.
It just is what it is. And especially like when you dial into like the whole idea that that's not explicitly something that most men have seen. If you like, even if you had like a father in the home, like you didn't really see the vulnerability part. Like you could see like them withstand some shit and like be like, I might not be happy right now, but like they just, you know what I mean, trekking their way through it. In comparison to like actually being vulnerable and expressing what you don't want to happen or what you do want to happen or what you would like better, XYZ. So yeah, no, I think that men choose miserable because it's so much easier.
They're scared.
I'd agree 100% on that.
Nah, well, and then I'll use this as an opportunity to, tell fellas, hey, it's a lot on that other side too. It's a lot of freedom, and even for black people, we come together and have those tough conversations. You put yourself out there. There's so much more for us to have, versus what we stand to lose.
So what you telling FBA is to stop being miserable and be vulnerable and accept accountability.
That's what you said, but I could agree with that.
That's what your whole point was. I ain't know. I was just asking questions.
I ain't got no smoke for the FBA. I'm talking to this diaspora talk. This could go for anybody.
Hey Trey, you heard that?
I see him Wednesday too, man. He'll be there Wednesday 9:30. Unpack. We'll break some more. We can dive a little deeper on that one.
Yeah, and then the thing too, bro, with I'm not gonna say with the FBI, just people in general, bro. If you're the victim, and it's crazy that you in your story that you get to write, you would write yourself in as the victim. Like, why the fuck?
Right.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
It's actually a term called Afro-pessimism. And it wasn't until, who was it that you put in the chat that went on the Breakfast Club? It was a while back. It was like, and I just said that he be using big words for no reason.
Oh, Dyson?
Yeah. He brought the term up. So then I ended up like looking at it. Some of the dumbest shit ever. I don't really, like I said, I got smoke for Dyson.
You got smoke for Dyson.
It just is what it is. He used the word like, it was a point that he put in there that I pointed out in the chat where he was like, black people be having like the audacity to be hopeful or some shit like that. But it's based off, like, just rewind the chat a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
But then he quoted also Afro-pessimism, in which it is based around like all of those same things. In which this is where like the ideology of like the man and white supremacy and all is always a thing that's holding you down. And like, it's a like structured ideology that exists in this whole framework in which, what I mean? Like a lot of the things that we hear from like the left and the victim mentality is based out of.
Well, I'll tell you, bro, like if you don't want to be a victim, stop watching victim fucking TV. Stop being engulfing and indulging so highly. And bro, we listen to and watch.
What's triumphant TV? What can we look at?
Hey, turn the shit off.
Oh my bad.
Turn the shit off. It ain't too much. I don't know. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do know when I was watching TV, when you see black folk, it's always some victim shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when do you see this? And I mean, at the end of the day, like we love this shit. We love it. Like I literally turned off the TV and started being like making sure I watched like certain shit, and then it helped me to push myself in a better place. Like, you know what I mean? And like, and even like with my wife, like I was listening to a lot of these niggas complaining about relationships, getting into the victim mentality. And then once I cut that shit off my algorithm, you actually can reset your algorithm. You can start the bitch over and just look for new shit.
Hey, listen, having a newborn baby has reset my algorithm. You know what my shit first thing be? 6-hour baby sleep. And then it's dancing fruit.
Oh, you talking about YouTube?
Yeah. Like that be my main thing. Those be it. And then it be Jules TV. Hey, it's for Apple. Yeah.
Now they count on me. Count on me.
Yeah.
No, my favorite one is the Pride or what is it? Damn, it's one of the coldest joints, bro.
They actually be
got
like
some cold shit.
Low key going crazy.
Nah, they be going ham and cheese, bro.
Like you can actually listen to Jules TV in the car and still catch a vibe.
Nah, facts.
Like it be alright. I ain't gonna.
It's called Pride. I'm pretty sure it's called Pride.
Mm-hmm.
That joint tough.
Nah, they be having the Jones.
Great topic, fellas. Great combos. Again, want to give a special Mother's Day shout out to all the moms that tune in.
Yep.
We appreciate y'all for tapping in. Hope y'all, get the love and celebration and honor that you deserve on this day.
Hey, chat, we wasn't ignoring y'all today. We just couldn't see the chat today. We had some technical difficulties, but you know what I mean? We still love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to all the regulars that's in the chat, holding it down. Again, we just wasn't able to see it today just because of technical difficulties, but yeah.
We love y'all all the same. Keep the comments coming.
Yep.
Follow us on all socials. That's D2B Fair Show. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. If you still here, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification button. You'll get all the updates on any upcoming shows. I am your host, Johnny P.
Oh, here, real.
It's Q.
And we out.